There is now CCTV video of what appears to be the bombers in London. Unfortunately, none of these images have a timestamp, so it was not clear when they were taken. The narrative states that the four are captured on video at 8:26 AM on the concourse close to the Thameslink platform and heading in the direction of the London Underground system. This appears to be consistent with the video, but it is unsure how investigators confirmed the time of this incident or why they haven't shown evidence to the public. It needs clarification. But wait, there's video of them getting onto the carriages, right? So this doesn't matter? Wrong. There is no CCTV of the tube bombers from that point onwards, and therefore nothing that proves they got onto the carriages. The narrative simply jumps forward and claims they must have been on the various carriages because that's where the blasts were. What gave them this conclusion? Or were they using preconceived notions that four young Muslim men must have carried out the attack? One video did emerge in 2008 claiming to show smoke from Tanweer's bomb emerging from further down the tube.
The men and women who've just got onto that train that we can see there clearly had absolutely no idea what was going to happen to them. But as we know, tragically, a significant number of them were killed and many more were injured. And this is it from the other side, another CCTV camera also on the platform at all. This is Liverpool Street Station. Of course, the explosion happened further on. You see the smoke billowing in front of the camera, and that is an indication as what has happened further on down the tunnel.
This was not the explosion itself, or Tanweer boarding the carriage. The narrative even states that Shahzad Tanweer is not visible, but he must have been in the second carriage. The timestamp of the video is nearly 7:46, over an hour before the bombs went off at around 8:50. This was shown in court in the trial of three other Leeds men who were accused of assisting the bombers during the planning stages. Why was this video, which is totally unrelated to the alleged planning stage, shown in this case, not a case dedicated to 7/7 itself? And why has the time not been clarified? It's possible that the camera was operating under UTC time, which can be an hour out during the summer months in the UK. But 8:46 goes against the official story of simultaneous explosions within seconds of each other at 8:50.
It would appear now that all three bombs on the London Underground system actually exploded within seconds of each other.
So they weren't really simultaneous explosions? Considering the time blunders made in the official narrative, can we be sure investigators know the cameras might have been operating at UTC time in other areas? Is other video an hour out as well? Did they really enter Luton at 8:22, not 7:22? Without full transparency of all the footage and a proper inquiry, we're again led to draw our own conclusions. Following what is described as their final departure, Hasib Hussein's movements are peculiar. To begin with, the narrative claims he goes in the same direction as Lindsay, towards the Piccadilly line train. It doesn't state if they're together, and of course there's no CCTV to show us. What he does for 25 minutes in the underground is not known. He then resurfaces and appears to be captured by a very pixelated camera on the main city streets. Again, it has no timestamp. It's not mentioned in the narrative, but the figure also appears to wave, possibly at a red car. Who is he waving to? The narrative states that telephone call records show he tried unsuccessfully to contact the other three bombers on his mobile phone from around 8:55 on Euston Road. No footage of this exists, but the report says he is relaxed and unhurried, which seems odd when telephoning his friends who were set to die in the underground. Presumably he knew that's what they were doing, so why would he phone them unless he was agitated? However, initial media reports state he was frantic and the calls were described as desperate, not relaxed. If we use common sense, it is clear that all of this information is conjecture. It says he tried unsuccessfully, meaning the calls didn't go through, so there is no possible way to tell if he was calm or frantic. If there are phone records at 8:55, as media reports seem to suggest, who answered the phones? Because the other bombers were in pieces 5 minutes ago. And if he left voicemails, why have they never been released? Furthermore, as reported in the Mirror, when he failed to get in touch and the family heard news of the bombings, his brother Imran went through Hussein's computer and the numbers in his mobile phone. It's possible he had 2 phones, but police haven't disclosed how they linked the phone calls to Hussain in the first place, or the exact details of the calls. Yet again, the narrative is illogical and contradictory and would not stand up in a court of law. It is then claimed that Hussain goes back into King's Cross station through Boots and then goes into WH Smith on the station concourse and appears to buy a 9-volt battery. If he only appeared to buy a battery, how do they know it was 9 volts? Why not he appeared to buy something? It then reads, it is possible that a new battery was needed to detonate the device, but this is only speculation at this stage. Why is there speculation in an official narrative? This could lead people to believe he had a bomb and a detonation device without any proof. Once again, the crucial footage of what happened between now and the explosion on the number 30 bus doesn't exist, and for no explainable reason there was no CCTV connected on the bus that day, which would have identified Hussain clearly as the perpetrator. The narrative claims Hussain is seen on Gray's Inn Road, but it doesn't give a time for this statement. Yet it then says around this time, a man fitting Hussain's description was seen on the number 91 bus travelling from King's Cross to Euston Station, looking nervous and pushing past people. If he was on this bus, where is the CCTV evidence? Was it not working on that bus as well? With no evidence, it then jumps to the conclusion that it was almost certainly at Euston that Hussain switched to the number 30 bus travelling eastward from Marble Arch. On what basis is this claim made? And then, at 9:47 AM, Hussain allegedly carried out a 4th attack on the upper deck when this bus was in Tavistock Square. With no surveillance on the bus that day, we must rely on witness testimony, and this itself is thin. Richard Jones is widely quoted by the media, presumably because he claims to have seen Hussain. He described a clean-shaven and smartly dressed man wearing hipster-style fawn-checked trousers with exposed designer underwear and a matching jersey-style top. In all of the released images of Hussain on that day, he's clearly unshaven and drably dressed in blue jeans and a hoodie. Furthermore, the explosion was on the upper deck, not downstairs. Oddly, at one point, Jermaine Lindsay does appear to have checkered trousers, but he was supposed to be nowhere near the bus. Then Jones changed his story, and in another interview claims Hussain was wearing tight, light brown trousers and a light brown top. Again, completely different to the CCTV images. He told ABC News that the bomber was carrying obviously a small bag, whereas the images show Hussain was carrying a large rucksack. It is clear from these inconsistent statements that Richard Jones did not see Hussain. To start with, he was on the wrong deck, and then he describes nothing that matches Hussain's image. Why would he even bother peddling such statements to the media unless he's deliberately trying to confuse the case? And how can his account be factored as evidence when it contradicts CCTV images also used as evidence in the same narrative and the actual blast evidence from the bomb?